Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Theater Tuesday. And this is our 24th episode, which is very exciting. We've done it 24, and we are talking, and this is our monthly wrap up that we do. And we have a fun extra topic that we're going to be talking about. We're going to be looking at the season announcements from the different local theaters and see who do we think has the best upcoming season. It's gonna be fun. And I'm theater critic Rachel Wagner, and Maren is here.
Hi,
How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. I feel like I'm getting back into the swing of things. I feel like this month was really a good one for me. So
Oh, good. I'm so glad. Yeah, it was a jam-packed month for me. Very busy and exciting, and a lot of we haven't gotten into where like October is pretty much your like spooky, and
yeah,
so like September was kind of this interesting sort of I feel like productions were kind of all over the place.
yeah.
So there's some interesting. I ended up seeing 12 shows in September, which was a lot.
I did six, so I did half of
Yeah.
what you did.
Yeah.
But
That's still a lot.
yeah, no, it is a lot. It
Yeah.
really, and just like when you were saying that we're going to talk about some of the season announcements and everything, just looking at the sheer amount of
Oh,
theater that we have available to us is just phenomenal. It's
it's
just phenomenal.
it's unbelievable. I mean, you
Yeah,
could literally go to something every day. Maybe
yeah,
not Sunday, but
absolutely.
even that you could probably, if you had to rustle up a show,
Oh
you
yeah,
could
no,
probably
no.
find
I
something.
saw a show on Sunday last month, on a
Yeah.
Sunday last month. So
Yeah.
yeah, you could. It's phenomenal
It's
what we have available.
amazing. So let's talk about what was your favorite thing of the six that you saw?
Oh, ragtime, hands down.
Oh, right. Yeah, we both
Yeah.
saw Ragtime at
Mhm.
a musical theater West at the
Mhm.
Eccles. And
In
it's a
Logan, at Ellen Eccles in Logan, not Eccles in
right.
Salt Lake.
Yeah,
But yeah.
and it's a favorite of yours, correct? Favorite
Mhm.
show of yours?
It is, yeah, it's one of my very favorite. It's so hard for me to name a favorite show, but I lucked out. I went to New York twice in my early years. When I graduated from high school, my sister was teaching high
Mm-hmm.
school theater. My sister and I are 7 years apart, and she had just started teaching high school theater when I graduated from high school. And so she took a trip with some of her students to New York when I graduated from high school, and then the next year. And it was that second trip to New York that I saw some of the original cast of Ragtime on Broadway, and
Mm-hmm.
just blew me
Yeah.
away. Just and so, probably top 10. Like if I were to sit down and really, really make a list, probably top 10 favorite shows. Feel
Mm-hmm.
like it's just written so well. And because I was still just some of my new, I was 18 going on 19, or maybe I was 19 going on 20, but still just very new into the professional theater scene, and seeing people like Ryan Stokes Mitchell do those roles and everything, just just thrilling. And so it's always been top of my list. Just feel like it's one of the greatest shows ever written. Yeah.
Yeah, I was really blown away. I think I might have seen it one other time at the old Hale West Valley,
Mm-hmm.
maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Once I saw it, I was like, I think maybe I have seen this once before, but it was basically my first time seeing it.
Yeah.
And I was really, really impressed at, particularly, I think it has one of the strongest end of act ones that
Yep.
of anything I've ever seen. Like it
Yeah, that
leaves you
song
on
is
that.
called Till We Reach That
Wow.
Day, and it really is. But the way they had done it too, so I saw it on Broadway, and then I've
Yeah.
seen it, um, like I saw Centerpoint do it, I saw a touring company do it, I saw it down at Shakespeare Festival. I've seen it many, many times. Um, but I feel like the way Music Theater West staged it was one of the neatest ways I've seen that
Mm,
number staged. And it
mm.
is one of my favorite things I've ever seen. I mean, ever heard written. I think that song in particular, Until We Reach That Day, I feel like is just such a strong moral and such a strong and important thing.
Yeah.
And the man who played Coalhouse in this production also served as their diversity and equity um, consultant, which
Mm-hmm.
I also felt like was really important, especially with what that message entails and how it's still poignant today about death and
Mm-hmm.
confusion.
Mm-hmm.
of how it happens. And for people who haven't seen it, I don't necessarily know how much to give away or anything, but
Yeah.
there's a death that is confused and racially motivated.
Mhm.
And so just the way that that song leads into some of that, it is moving and beautiful, but the way they staged it, I felt like made it more moving than I've ever seen it done.
Yeah, it was, uh, I was really, really, really taken with it. And it was a woman named Nieka Barcelona. Sorry if
Mhm.
I'm saying it wrong, but I it
Her
was
solo,
it
yeah.
was stunning. It was stunning. And I said I can't recall a show leaving the audience into intermission on a more moving note.
Mhm.
Yeah. The
Mhm.
orchestra was fantastic. I
Yes,
thought all
live orchestra.
the
Ugh.
production values were all outstanding. The
Mhm.
costumes, the sets were double layered, so you had different levels.
Yep.
And I mean, I watched that and I just think, and you've seen it multiple times, but I just think, like, how can you really even do it much better? I mean, it
Mm.
was. I had very few flaws with it. I mean, I felt like some of the book is a little crowded and a little confusing, but as far as like their production, I think I don't
Yeah.
know, just like it was
You
so
honestly
good.
can't do it much better. I mean, there were a few things that they couldn't do that they did on Broadway or down at
Hmm.
Shakespeare that literally come down to money. Like the
Right.
only reason that they didn't do some of the stuff that I saw on Broadway are because Music Theater West doesn't have millions of dollars.
Sure.
And
Well,
that's
and yeah, and the tickets were under $20.
right,
So
exactly. And so it's like one of those things where it's like, for how much money I know a company like that must have, they put on something so fantastic and had live orchestra and everything else that, like, yeah, they didn't have quite the cool setup and
Mhm.
quite the same things that I saw on Broadway, only because they didn't have the money for it. And
Sure.
that's the only reason. Like they had just as high of quality as anything else that I've ever seen. There were a little bit of mic issues the night that I was there, but
Oh yeah.
again, we're dealing with, like you said, paying $20 to see such a high quality show. Whereas, yeah, the production I saw on Broadway was, in my mind, 100% flawless, but it was also a multi-million dollar
Yeah.
production. So
But
that,
that's not always the case though. I mean,
no, it's not always the case
there
on
are
Broadway.
productions
Yeah.
on Broadway that I've seen that,
Hey,
I
I
mean,
saw Footloose on Broadway. So
yeah. I mean, sometimes on Broadway, the main advantage over what I see here is just that they're new shows.
uh-huh.
I think
Yeah.
the quality can be just about as good. I mean, I
Yeah,
really
no,
do.
no.
I really do.
I've seen some flops on Broadway, so
Yeah.
for sure. Like I always say, I saw the original cast of Footloose on Broadway. So they're not always
Yeah.
great.
Yeah. Well, it's hard for me to pick my favorite because I saw such a variety.
Mhm.
It's like, how do you even compare them? But I mean, because the ragtime was phenomenal. I mean, I love Bright Star so much. It was a mess of, like, it was just one of those productions, one of those nights where everything went wrong. The
Mhm.
lights had problems, so they had to end before the train scene. They had
Mhm.
to end. They had intermission early, which was
Mhm.
like jarring for me. And I was like, "What?" They
Mhm.
didn't have the and 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 they had tons of it was just one of those nights. But they fought through it, and I could see, and the band that they got was really outstanding. And I could see that it was there. It was just one of those. They fought for it, and they had to. But I love the show so much. You know
Right.
that. And then I also love Daddy Longlegs so much. That's a favorite of
Which
mine.
is something I have never seen, and I'm
Oh,
so sad that it's just like this gaping hole, like, every time it comes up, either someone else takes it to review it,
oh,
or
really?
it's not somewhere where I can catch it with other things, and so I need to go see it, I really
Well,
do.
I was going to tell you that I know we've been reviewing some Broadway HD
Mhm. For the
for
vlog, yeah.
yeah, and that it's on there. There's a pro
Oh,
shot.
so maybe I should do that. Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
good idea,
And it's
maybe I
is
should.
yeah, it's really good. But I love Daddy Long Legs, and it was a really fun production. And it was interesting because I realized that every time I've seen it, because this was my fourth time seeing it, every time that I've seen it, it was with the same cast just by chance. I saw it at Hale Center Theater, Orem, with Kelly Coombs and Dave Smith. Dave Smith was my teacher. And so I tried to go see whatever he's in. And
Okay.
yeah, so that's why I originally saw it. And then they did Hale at Home during the pandemic, where they did it because it only has 2 people. So it was a show that they could do, and they
Right.
could broadcast live stream it. And so then he went up to work at Hale Sandy. And when they first opened, they did Daddy Longlegs at Hale Sandy when they first reopened with him and Kelly. So every time that I've seen it, it has been those 2. So
Right.
I went to this new production, and I thought, is it going to be different for me? And I still loved it. It's just one of those shows that I just
Mhm.
love. And I could see some difference between, obviously Opa is a much smaller place than Hale. I could see some differences, but it was minor. And it's it's just such a well-crafted, beautiful show, in my opinion. So I loved that. I got to see the Mystery of Edwin Drood at the Parker, which I had never seen before.
See, I
And
was sad I didn't get to go see that because I was actually in that in high school.
oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh.
just in the ensemble, but I have not seen a production of it. I've been in it. So,
Oh, yeah, they just announced The Wiz coming next year
okay.
to Broadway. And
Mm,
I'm gonna have to try to make a trip because I was in it in high school,
right. I remember you
but
saying that.
I've
Yeah.
never seen it. So,
No.
uh, and I have to say, well, I have to say they did incredible. They always Parker.
Yeah, Parker is a great
They're
theater,
incredible.
but it's a strange show. Edwin Drood is a strange
Yeah.
show.
I didn't think that really any of the songs were that memorable. They were all
Mhm.
kind of like, they were fine, but it was
Yeah,
fun, like the interactivity and like,
yeah, being able to vote as the audience and
yeah.
whatever. Yeah.
And we
Hmm.
had a pretty like energetic audience. They were invested. The interesting thing was that the Puffer
Hmm.
character,
Hmm.
she, I guess, had some kind of accident, and she was having surgery, so she couldn't do the show anymore. And so the director evidently had to step in with the
Hmm.
script in hand,
Oh, wow.
and it was pretty rough.
I bet.
I felt bad for her, but it was hard to listen
Yeah, I
to.
bet.
You make it work and you get through it, and that's part of the joy of going to community theater, is these
Right,
things
for sure.
happen. And
Yeah,
I think it kind of, it makes it memorable.
yeah.
But it was interesting to finally see that show. I saw Arsenic and Old Lace at Pleasant Grove Players, and that show
Mhm.
is just absolutely hilarious.
Yeah,
I think it holds up extremely well.
yeah.
I
I went
really
and
do.
saw Murder on the Orient Express
Yeah,
at
yeah, how
Pioneer,
was that?
and that set was phenomenal. They did
Mm,
this thing with the train where they had just set up basically 2 separate cars and they kind of pushed it back and forth and would change the scenery between it, but made it look like it was a train running on the stage. And with between the
oh,
lighting and
that's
the way they
cool.
had set it up, it just, I mean, my husband and I, we have season tickets to Pioneer, and it's one of the only places that will actually spend for a season ticket. It's like our big
Yeah.
splurge, and that's why, like, for stuff like that where it just, like, it's such quality. And
Mhm.
like when this train started moving, we both just kind of went, and it's funny because I've seen so much theater. My husband and I have been married almost 6 years, and he always says, I've seen more theater in these 6 years that I've been with you than I've ever seen in my entire life. And he's right. I drag him to a lot of stuff, but it's one of those things where it was shocking at how well that train was. And the rest of the show was very
Uh,
good too. I mean, it was
yeah,
very good, but that train, it just mind bending how well it
yeah.
was.
Are you a fan of Rachel's reviews? Do you look forward to Family Movie Night, Female Film Critics panels, or the Talking Disney podcast? If so, please consider supporting the podcast by becoming a Patreon. As a patron, you get to access monthly events such as the watch-alongs and Q&As, where you get to talk to stars and find out the behind the scenes of the movie making industry. And you can pick what I review for Family Movie Night or even become a guest on the podcast. Podcasts and YouTube channels are expensive, and I really, really could use your help. I would so appreciate it. You also get to be a member of the Facebook group where we talk about all the films that we're seeing, and we have so much fun. Go to patreon.com/hallmarkies and select one of the Rachel's fan tiers. That's patreon.com/hallmarkies.
You know, it's interesting. So I saw Catch Me If You Can at Hale, and this is not the one off the movie. This is a separate mystery from the 1950s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And what I realized about mysteries is a lot of times that first act is kind of dry. It's sort of boring because they got to build up all those clues and all those things. And but then it's that second act where if they can pull everything together, give a good reveal, give a good murder, you know, kind of a thing, and then it works. And I did think that the reveal was really fun in this, and they had this amazing set with this like Frank Lloyd Wright kind of style architecture, like house. It was a one set, you know, show, but it had 2 levels. It looked, I mean, it was very impressive. This
that was impressive.
mid-century kind of, you know, there's supposed to be this house in like the Poconos kind of, you know, type of thing, this vacation house, and it looked amazing. And they paid such attention to detail. Like there's a couple scenes where they go into the bedroom and it's towards the back of the stage, so they could just have it just be a door, but if you looked, you could see there was actually a bed, there was actually a, you know, like they made sure that your line of sight was decorated. You know what I mean? Which I really appreciated. And so, yeah, I mean, mysteries will never be like my favorite. It's just,
right. But
it was, you know, it's fun to see something different, as much as I love seeing Bright Star a million times. And
yeah. We went also and saw Jekyll and Hyde at Centerpoint, so kind of starting off
I saw that too.
Season.
Yeah.
And I have an interesting history too with Jekyll and Hyde. That's one of the first things I saw on Broadway too. But when I saw it on Broadway, it was an earlier script. The script that we see now is a rewrite. Frank Wildhorn shows are classic for that they go through several rewrites before we get a script that sticks. And so I even in my brain have a different show in my head than what we see. But I love the music in Jekyll and Hyde. I don't always love the script of Jekyll and Hyde. I do think that with what they had, that Centerpoint did a fantastic job. I think they did a very good job of that show. But it's a cumbersome show.
Yeah, I think the book has problems. It takes way too long for the transformation to happen. It should be way sooner. So you saw it with the Good and Evil song instead of the Bring on the Men.
When I saw it on Broadway, it had Good and Evil the first time. The second time there was another song before Bring on the Men. Even there were 3 rewrites of Jekyll and Hyde, and so I saw it on Broadway a couple of different times. So I saw Good and Evil, then I saw another song that I don't even remember what it is before Bring on the Men came on.
I enjoyed it. I had little nitpicks. My major thing is I didn't like I thought those televisions that they had, those screens were very, I mean, I was in the balcony, so maybe I noticed them more than people that were on the
I wasn't
ground.
In the balcony, so
I know. I just thought it just had like pictures of windows. I was like, why? This is distracting. Why do they have these? I didn't like that. And I also thought that some of the costumes were a little sloppy for Centerpoint, at least. Like usually they are amazing, and particularly the madam, I guess you'd call her, of the thing. Like she was like spilling out of her corset. It did not fit her correctly, and not in like a good way spilling out. Like it looked bad to me, and you know, just a couple of other things. I was like, usually they nail that at Centerpoint, and so I was a little surprised. But I thought that all the talent was absolutely outstanding.
The talent was phenomenal. It's funny that you mentioned costumes, because I actually looked up when pullover sweaters were invented, because in the bar scene, two guys were wearing pullover sweaters and they looked out of place. But I looked it up and they were invented in the 1880s, and that's when the show is set. So I guess they weren't out of place, but it did kind of, just with the way everyone else was,
yeah,
way it looked, they looked out of place to me. But I didn't call it out in my review, because when I looked it up, it was time period. It looked a little bit strange to me, because it just didn't fit with what everyone else was wearing on stage.
Yeah, there was it, because they usually, I guess my standards are very high for Centerpoint. They usually like the 42nd Street costumes.
And
amazing.
I remember their My Fair Lady and their Music Man, and you know how I feel about the Music Man, but their Music Man costumes were
that whole
just
production.
Yeah, their Music Man costumes blew me away. I wanted every single hat on that stage. So I get it. Yeah, their costumes are usually top notch.
Yeah. Okay, what else? I saw A Doll's House. That was exciting because I'd heard about that.
And that's rarely done around here. That's another one that I've seen on Broadway that I truly, well, Ibsen is such a great prolific writer, and it's just never done. So it's great that it got done around here.
Yeah, and I thought that because there's a point where the character has this moment of truth where she realizes that her husband is not going to be the man she thinks he is, that oh my gosh, he's not going to stick up for me, he's not going to and I thought she nailed that. Like she's very, very good. And I think sometimes it makes a lot of sense for these smaller theaters to do plays rather than musicals, or if they're going to do musicals, do something like Daddy Longlegs with only two people, with a small like I guess walk before you can run kind of a thing. And so that was neat to get to see that. I saw Sister Act at Draper, and I think it was perfectly fine. Regional theater, amateur theater. But I think that because I'd had such an amazing experience with their Jekyll and Hyde, where it was so much better than I expected, maybe my expectations were a little too high. But and that show is like surprisingly violent. I think maybe because it's Alan Menken, and like I go in with these expectations, and then it's like people are like shot point blank and stuff like that.
You have to remember that that's what happens in the movie. So
it's true.
Yeah.
But it was fine. And then Around the World in 80 Days, I reviewed that for UTBA. And that was a very big challenge for me as a theater critic, because there really wasn't that much to say as far as the play itself. I mean, I talked a little bit about because they had a score that was talking about how they captured each of the places that they visited. And I liked the fact that nothing felt chintzy, nothing felt tacky. It didn't feel like, oh, this is a corny version of China, or like it all felt like they were really trying.
Authentic.
I'm no expert, but it felt like to me that they were trying to be very authentic to these cultures, which I really appreciated. But really the specialty of the show is in the dance and the aerobatics. And I know like very little about dance. And so I had to actually like email the choreographer and be like, what was that apparatus you're using there? What was that you were doing there?
Okay.
What was there different? So I felt like I could talk about it like semi-confidently. And so that was a good learning experience and
that's really interesting that's what, because the one thing that I will say with Hale is that it is cool that they're branching out and doing some of these new shows that aren't done anywhere. I love that. So
I do. We'll talk about their slate, but I do think that they have a pretty good mixture of trying new things and the old reliables at Hale, which I think you need in any kind of company. And so I enjoyed it. It was something different, and but I think it's definitely, if someone was asking me should I go or not, I would say, how much do you love dance? Are you a dance person? Do you appreciate it?
That's much more of a dance show. Okay.
It's a dance show. And I think we covered everything. Yeah, I think that covers I saw Clue at Hale Orem.
Was
And
it the stage play or the musical?
the stage play.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think I've actually seen the musical. I think I've always seen the
There's
play.
2 different musicals out there too, and there's a new one that I haven't seen yet, and then there's a really old one, but yeah.
Oh,
Um, so I saw 2 others. I went and saw my daughter's high school improv show, and just
okay.
again, like fun props for these kids who do these
Yeah.
fun things, and improv, so much fun. Like I
Mhm.
just love that. I love that
Yeah.
people are out there. And so I know that we're mostly talking about like just seasons that are with regional and community and stuff, but it's just so fun to go out and support local schools and things too. So
Mhm.
that was fun. But then also there's a newer company up in northern Ogden called Broadway on the Side, and they do some shows. They're gonna do like I think 2 shows this year, and then they do a lot of reviews. And so their review that they did this that they're doing, it's still open for a couple more weeks, is Sondheim on the Side is what they call it. And they pull about 5 or 6 people together, and they'll do a few group numbers and a few solo performances, and it was all Sondheim music, and it was actually really lovely. And they do a first and second act and a little intermission, but it's like not a full show, so you just get some fun Sondheim songs and a little bit of an evening out. And I went with a friend of mine, and she and I both lost our moms this summer, and so it was just kind of like a nice thing where you
That's
don't really
cool.
have to invest in a full show.
Yeah.
You just get some good music with some good singers. And yeah, so
That
just
sounds
kind of like a
really
different
good.
thing that's out there and for people to know about, that you can even just get that kind of theater out there
Yeah.
too. You
That's
know?
cool. Yeah, that would be great.
Hey, this is David from the Piecing It Together podcast, a podcast about movies and the movies that inspire them. For over 4 years, each week, a guest and I take a look at a new movie through the lens of what other movies we think were either an influence or connect in some other way. It's a fun, unique way to discuss films that leads to a great list of other movies to check out that either explore the same themes and ideas or maybe utilize similar filmmaking techniques. Including special episodes in our side series that twist the format, we've done over 200 episodes, so there's bound to be one on a film you've been thinking about and want to dig deeper into. So check us out on all the major podcasting apps and at piecingpod.com.
What we're going to do for the rest of the episode is we are going to look at the various programs coming up for 2023, 2024 that I could rustle up. I tried to have a bunch all over Utah. And
yeah, I was really impressed. You pulled up like 14 different seasons. And what's kind of cool about this too, like, is that this isn't even all of them.
No. Oh no.
Like you didn't pull up all of what we have to offer. And so to know that within driving distance, like
Yeah.
I drive like an hour from my house and I could go to 14 good quality theaters and
like
see.
I couldn't find a graphic for the Empress. I couldn't find one for like Sandy Arts Guild or Lehigh Arts Guild, or
Right.
and I know that all of them have announced their seasons, but I just couldn't find a graphic. And so
Right.
I mean, we certainly have plenty, but yeah, that's the crazy thing, is that there's even more.
So much out there. But then on a little bit of the negative side is how many of them repeat. Like,
I know.
And I was talking to my sister who directs shows about why does it always happen like this? Like, why does it seem like we get, like I'm counting like the 2 or 3 Seussicles.
Yep.
And it's like, why does that happen? Why do we all choose Seussical at the same time? Like, is there a sale on rights? And she told me there isn't. That's not how it happens. But it feels weird that happens. That like, why are we all doing it at the same time?
I mean, we'll talk about Into the Woods, but there's already been 3 local productions just this year that of the ones that I've seen, and then there's been more that I haven't seen, and it's so interesting because with OPA, they actually did a vote, and at the gala, and people had a choice of like 5 different shows, and that's what they picked.
Right.
Right. So there we go. People love it. So and you need those guaranteed hits. You need
right. And I do think that that's more of what it is that they need to make money, which is fine. We get it. I get that. Making money is important. So
Yep. All right. So I have this little slideshow here. Okay. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first one is Hale Center Theater Sandy. And I thought we'd give like a grade and see
Mhm.
which one in the end got like the best grade. So they have Clue on stage, which I don't know which one
Yeah,
that
I
is.
actually was wondering too which one that is. I don't know.
Yeah.
I kind of hope it's the brand new musical just because I really want to see the brand new musical.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it is
Yeah.
or not. If it's the stage version, the play that I've seen a couple of times, I'm like, it's
Yeah.
fine.
I've seen it a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
And so then we have Fiddler on the Roof, classic.
Yes.
Great.
And if it's done well, it's one of my very favorites.
Mhm.
So,
Yep. May We All, never heard of this one. So that's exciting.
yeah.
A country musical. That sounds like it might have kind of Bright Star vibes.
Right. Could.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then The Time Machine. I don't know if that's a straight play or if it's a
Yeah, again, like it seems like they're really jumping
Mhm.
out in this season. There's 1, 2, 3, 4 that I know nothing about.
yeah. And
So,
then The Nutty Professor, a new musical. So that is an original, I think original to, I don't know if it's a premiere, but new.
yeah,
This is a
I
new
mean, it's
musical.
based obviously on the movie,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah. So that will be fun. And then The Addams Family, which everybody loves so much.
right.
It's a fun show.
It's fun. It's I feel like it's funner to be in than to watch.
I can see that. They did a great version of it at Sierra, not this year, last year. That's still my gold standard of
Yeah.
The Addams Family. But yeah, it's
There's for me, the best Addams Family I saw was one that Zig did a few years ago.
Nice.
And that's been my gold standard.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Then The Magician's Elephant, which I think is a straight play, I
Okay.
think. And then Beauty and the Beast.
Hmm.
And they're gonna knock that out of the park.
Yeah.
And then Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
I'd
So-
say this is pretty good. I
Yeah.
think that, I mean, people are spending a lot, but I think that you've got your standards, you've got your new stuff, you've got your musicals, you've got your straight plays. I think it's a pretty good lineup for Hale.
Yeah, I think that, like I said, I'm glad that they're branching into some new stuff because I feel like a lot of times Hale goes to just what's comfortable. So I like
Yeah.
seeing that they're getting new stuff. Personally, I've always liked Hale Orem better than Hale Sandy.
Yeah.
And so like, it's been a while since I've gone to Hale Sandy,
Mhm.
and some of these make me interested enough that I
Yeah.
might actually go. So I give it a pretty decent grade just for that.
Yeah.
You know.
I'd give it an A. I think this is really solid. I am considering, if I can afford it, if I can save up the money, getting a season ticket, because
I don't know if I'd go all the way as an A for this one. I would maybe do B plus though, and that's a
Mhm.
lot for me.
Yeah.
Again, like I'm pretty picky when it comes to Hale. So
Yeah. All right. Speaking of Hale Orem, so we've got
Yeah.
The Foreigner, How to Succeed in Business Without Really Trying.
I actually really love that show, and no one ever does it. So I was actually very, very excited to see them name that, because it's just like I love it, and
I've never seen it, but heard good things.
Yeah, no, there was a revival of it. Like the original movie is something I grew up. My mom loved it and grew up watching it. My sister did it, directed it with her high school, and everyone was like, "What's this show?" And then there was a revival on Broadway with Matthew Broderick when I was a teenager, and then there was a revival not too long ago with Daniel Radcliffe playing the lead role.
Right, I remember seeing that.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's just
seeing
a fun
it on
show.
the Tonys.
It's fun, and I'm very excited that Hale Orem's doing it.
Yeah, and I feel like they've done The Foreigner a million times. It's one of those plays that just, it's like I don't know, it's like Arsenic and Old Lace and The
Yeah, it brings
Foreigner
in
and
money.
39 Steps, and like just these plays that everybody does.
Yeah.
Yeah, The Curious Savage, there's just these.
Yep.
And so that's fun. But it was, since they had their opening play last year was Pride and Prejudice, which was amazing. It feels like a bit of a downgrade, but and The Hello Girls, never heard of that one. That's a musical.
Yeah, I was actually just pulling it up. It's a brand new musical, it looks like, and it's a whole new story of like some women in World War One. I mean, I guess.
Oh,
So looks really cool. That's
yeah.
very interesting to me.
And then Seussical,
I
which
have
is the
interesting feelings
favorite.
about it. I actually really love Seussical for what it is,
Uh-huh.
but I feel like it belongs in community or high school theater. Like I
Mhm.
feel like it's just that. So I don't know.
It does seem
Like I
like
said, I really
something.
love Hail Orem, but I don't know.
It does
I
seem like
don't know
something
that
they
I
would have in their youth
right, exactly.
program. Yeah, I
Exactly.
agree. I
Yeah,
agree.
I don't know that I go to this.
Yeah.
So,
And then Arsenic and Old Lace, which is again hilarious, classic, standard. And then My Fair Lady, and that will be the last show at the
at the
current
old.
in Orem, which is
Yeah.
sad,
Yeah.
but it's
I'm
classic.
excited for the new building though.
Yeah, I am, but I'm nervous. I feel like it's gonna lose some of its charm, and
Yeah, you're right.
the
You're
prices
right.
are gonna be way more.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit, I'm nervous about it, but you know, they've waited forever for that, and
Yeah.
so they
Yeah.
need it.
Yeah.
I mean, I would actually, I'd give this a B plus. I'm excited, and I have season tickets, so
Okay.
already.
Yeah, and I'd give it a B because I mean it's got some great things, like I said, like How to Succeed in Business and Hello
Mhm.
Girls. Those ones would be ones that I'd drive down to Provo for or to
Yeah,
Orem for. But Sue's
yeah,
cool. My Fair Lady, no thanks. Like I'll see it in
yeah,
other places or whatever, but I'm not gonna drive an hour plus to go to that.
right,
So
yeah. All right, so then we have Sierra. We're just talking about, we're not talking about the concerts, just the shows.
yeah.
So we have Into the Woods, which is actually going on right now. And yeah, it's kind of become a little bit of a meme in my Twitter. Because every time I go to a show and I see the program they're Into the Woods, I'm like, I don't know. I just don't love it. And I don't love I don't think that the subversion really pays off for me in a satisfying way. And if I don't know, I just don't love it. And I feel like, to me, it doesn't have enough like really singable songs. Like the songs all kind of like run together a little bit, which I know is a Sondheim thing,
Right.
but I just like some of his other shows so much better. I like Company way better than Into the
Right.
Woods. I like Sweeney Todd way better.
Right.
I don't know. It's
See,
just
and
done
it's funny because
so
I
much.
really do love Into the Woods. I love Into the
Mhm.
Woods a lot.
Yeah.
But I do understand what you're saying about it not being singable. I'm not sure that I feel much of any Sondheim is necessarily singable.
Yeah.
I
I think Company is about as close as you get.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think you're right there with that with Company. And it took me a while to really even learn or become as into Company as I am now.
Mhm.
My favorite Sondheim is one that's never done, Assassins. And
Oh,
I
yeah.
love Assassins. And
Yeah.
so, but I find it Into the Woods endearing. But I also do feel like it is one of the ones that is overdone in Utah. And there are lots of reasons for that we could go
Yeah.
into, like being able to cast all the people. Like there's lots of roles, there's lots of ways you can do it. But I feel like it's overdone in a way that it seems to be easier than it is.
Mhm.
And so you can do, like, some of my best reviews have been Into the Woods, but some of my worst, actually probably one of the worst reviews I ever wrote was Into the Woods. And
Yeah.
it's because if you don't do it right, it's not great.
Yeah.
If you do it right, it's one of the best things I've ever seen. But if you
Mhm.
don't do it right, it can fall apart.
Did I tell you that at Kensington, the director got up at the beginning of the thing, and she was literally wearing an Into the Woods dress with like the playbill on the dress. And she was like, please don't leave at the end of the first act.
Right. Yeah. And actually, what's really funny is the very first time I saw a production of Into the Woods, the company, and I swear, I'm like, how did you even get the rights to do this? They chose to only do the first act because they were
What?
like, yeah, because they were like, well, we just didn't want the sadness of the second act. And like, I
Whoa.
was a young kid at the time, so I
That's
didn't really
funny.
even understand. But I think back at that experience and I think, you just ruined the whole story. Like
Yeah.
that's the whole point, is the second act. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, then they do have a theater for youth, the musical adventures of Flat Stanley. So that sounds like something new.
Yeah, that's
And
kind of fun.
yeah.
Whatever it is.
And then they're doing A Christmas Story again. And I believe this is the third year in a row that they're doing A Christmas Story. So they've got it. And
I thought it was fun the first time I saw it, but it's
Yeah.
another one of those ones where it's like, okay, I saw it.
yeah. Like I haven't gotten season tickets. This is I was very impressed with it, but yeah, I've already
Yeah.
seen it.
Yeah,
And then they're doing Shrek, which I do love.
I do
but-
like Shrek too,
Mhm.
but yeah.
Yeah.
And then they're doing A Year with Frog and Toad, and that's one I
Yeah.
actually have never seen,
I
but
never
have
have.
heard the music and wouldn't mind seeing it. But
Yeah, I think Ziegfeld or somebody up there did it. But I haven't
yeah,
seen
no,
it.
they've done someone up here did it, but I
Yeah.
didn't get a chance to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they're doing Big Fish, closing out the indoor season, and I still have never gotten to see it. I know a bunch of people have done it, but I just have missed it.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen it. So yeah.
This season, even though like I said, I defended Into the Woods, but this season doesn't excite me.
No.
Like I don't see myself driving out to it.
I would give this one a pretty low, like a C.
Yeah, I'd give it a C as well.
Yeah. Okay, then we have Opa, and they have Hunchback, and this is just on their main stage. They have a creators stage, and that's where I saw Daddy Longlegs was in their smaller creator stage.
Right.
So they have the Hunchback of Notre Dame, A Chorus Line, Into the Woods, which won by popular vote, Mary Poppins, Next to Normal, The Mousetrap, and Holiday Follies.
Yeah. So Next to Normal is a fantastic show that's hardly ever done.
Yes, because it's brutal. It's tough.
It is brutal, but it's fantastic.
Mhm.
And The Mousetrap is actually the longest running show in London.
Yeah.
And
Hasn't it been running since like the 50s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those two alone are really kind of cool.
Mhm.
Mary Poppins,
Mhm.
it's an interesting stage version. It's
I
just,
don't love it.
yeah, I don't know. And Chorus Line is hardly ever done around here either. So
Yeah,
those are some interesting and some fun choices.
they are doing Mary Poppins at Layton High School, so they will have like more space, and they will have. So that's kind of cool. But
they do that a lot. Like a lot of times, Opa does that. They have a good relationship with Layton High, so usually their summer show is done at the high school there.
And even though I don't love Into the Woods and I don't love Mary Poppins, this version of Mary Poppins, I actually think this is a really strong season. It has like enough risk taking, enough interest, intrigue, taking risks, but then also some ones that will be for sure sellers.
Yeah,
I think this is a smart season. I really do.
Yeah, I would give it a B+. I think, because I agree with you that they are taking some good risks and really balancing it out really well.
Yeah, I mean, even with those two I don't like, I might give it an A-. I think it's really strong. It's tempting me. The only reason I wouldn't get a season, because they're very reasonable too. Actually, their
their prices
very,
are pretty good there.
And is that it is pretty far away from me.
Yeah,
so.
this is the opposite of you and me. Like this is pretty darn far for you. So.
But yeah, I mean, I think this Hunchback is much better than the movie, in my opinion.
I agree. I love the stage version of Hunchback, and I love the movie, but I think the stage version is fantastic.
They improved it, and I've only seen Chorus Line once before I saw it at the Empress, and I was very impressed. I really liked it.
It's a really fun show.
Yeah, so I think this is a good lineup. They did a good job.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is Kensington. I forgot to write it down, but this is
I was wondering. I'm like, where is that? And where is that theater?
It's in West Jordan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's actually in a school.
Okay.
I forget the name of the school, but it is underrated. It is a really nice theater.
I was like, I'm loving this season.
they are kind of education based, and so they do have a lot of theater for youth, and you can see they have like different grades and stuff, and they have a program called the ABC, which is their education program for adults. It's
Oh,
their
okay.
adult boot camp is what it is,
Oh, that's
ABC.
cool.
Yeah, and I saw Into the Woods there, and I don't like it, and I
Mhm.
was blown away. Like the quality of the production was so good, and they actually have a pit, like an orchestra pit in the ground. There's a
That's
big
cool.
hole in this stage and they have a live orchestra for every show.
Wow, that's
Uh,
really cool.
Yeah, and
What's
I've
it
never
called again?
seen. It's called
Kensington?
Kensington Theater. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I'm gonna have to check them out.
It is definitely underrated. I want to have one of them come on for Theater Tuesday one of these days. I've been talking to them, but they had an incredible Hunchback that they did. And I saw Spelling Bee there. I saw Into the Woods there. I recently saw Footloose there, which is another one that I don't love, but they did a great job. But their season, they have Peter and the Starcatcher, that's the ABC one, then Steel
Yeah.
Magnolias.
I love Steel Magnolias so much.
I've never seen this staging of it. The Secret Garden, which I love. I think
It's one of my top favorites. I love that show so much.
And then they are doing Phantom of the Opera, which is huge.
Yeah,
What?
that's a huge undertaking.
Oh my gosh. And then they're doing Cats. What?
That'll be weird.
My dream to finally see Cats is coming true. I think this is very good. This is there's hardly anything that's safe in this lineup. Everything is a risk.
Yeah, and this is a hard one for me because I'm not a big Andrew Lloyd Webber fan.
Oh, okay.
But it is interesting that they're willing to take the risks. So I'd give it a good solid B. I think that it's great that they're willing to take the risks. I just personally just Phantom and Cats, and they're not for me. But I understand why people love them. But I love Peter and the Starcatcher. I love Steel Magnolias. I love The Secret Garden, and I know why people love Phantom and Cats. So I can see why it would be a wonderful thing for others. And Steel Magnolias, Secret Garden, that's fantastic.
Is Steel Magnolias a straight play or is it a musical?
It's a straight play, and where it's different than the movie is that it's all set in the salon, and it's only the women. Like the men were all added for the movie. It's actually really well done. It's so
did the play come before the movie?
The play came before the movie, and the play was actually written by it's kind of a true story, by one of Shelby's brothers. Because Shelby was a real person who died from diabetes, and they wanted to write her story.
Yeah. I mean, I've been so impressed with the talent that I feel like, okay, they can pull this off, but it is very ambitious.
Yeah,
it's very ambitious. I'm going to give them an A because I think it's awesome. I'm excited, but yeah. All right. So then this is this is Ziegfeld.
Ziegfeld, yeah.
Yes. And so they have Putnam Spelling Bee.
Love that show.
Mary Poppins. Don't love this company. Love. Rock of Ages. Never seen. I've never seen that.
I don't love that show.
The Secret Garden.
And not only do I love this show, but I'm almost positive that this is going to be their one that they do every year where they do it combined with ASL.
Oh, that'd be great.
Which will be
that'd be perfect. Yeah.
Beautiful.
And then Sweeney Todd.
Yeah.
And I Ziegfeld for the most part has been amazing. Their Rent was absolutely not great, but other than that, they've nailed it. I loved Kiki Boots. I loved their Bright Star.
Yeah.
I loved their Grease was great.
Yeah.
So, this is a pretty good lineup, I think.
Yeah. So I'm leaning towards giving them an A. I truly don't like the stage version of Mary Poppins, but there have been shows that I don't like the script, but Zig has converted me. And it's the same. I truly don't like Rock of Ages, but if anyone can convert me, it's the Zig. And the fact that they've chosen both Company and Sweeney Todd,
it's ambitious. This is a very ambitious,
extremely ambitious. And then knowing that what they will do with Secret Garden. So for people who don't know what they do, one of their assistant directors, he's a child of deaf adults. So meaning both of his parents were deaf, and he grew up knowing sign language, and they have worked with actors who are deaf in the deaf community, and they work together and put together these shows. They just finished, they had done Hunchback, and they've done Wizard of Oz, they did Newsies, where they perform the show fully in sign language and singing and voice, and that's some of the most beautiful things I've ever seen. It's my favorite thing that they do every year, and it's usually around that
fit
time.
for Secret Garden.
And so I'm sure that that's what they'll be doing is with Secret Garden, and I love that show so much. It came out when I was in 7th grade, and it's like my childhood and everything. And so just even picturing, because I do sign a little bit. I took several years in college, and I've worked in disability a lot, and so just even picturing what that's going to look like is just so this is probably where I would give my A, would be here at Zig. This is
they do have the new graphic for Company, and I would love if they did the gender swapping,
the bent one,
like the Broadway.
That would be amazing, which they did a gender bent a few years ago, and this is why I say I can trust Zig, because I hate Pirates of Penzance. I hate that show.
Okay.
But they did a gender bent Pirates of Penzance, and it was phenomenal.
Yeah.
I loved it so much, and I hate that show.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I'm gonna give it an A as well. I think I definitely, the season tickets are very reasonable.
Yeah.
And they're actually doing a buy one get one free right now. Even if I had a +1, then I definitely would. But I'm considering it, because even though it's a long drive for me, it's a good lineup.
Yeah.
Okay, so then we have Hope Box and
Another Into the Woods.
Yeah, we have The Little Mermaid, which is on right now, and then Into the Woods, Christmas Carol, 9 to 5. 7 Brides for 7 Brothers, and Oliver. And I have to say, I love Hope Box. I love their mission. They always deliver a fun show. I have never been to anything that wasn't well done there, but this is not a great lineup.
Yeah, I like Into the Woods, like I've said. It depends on the script of the Christmas Carol. There's several Christmas carols out there. There's one I like, and the rest are I actually like 9 to 5 fine. I hate 7 Brides for 7 Brothers. I hate it. I think it's one of the worst shows ever written.
Well, I enjoy the movie. I have fun with the movie, but I think this is a very bad adaptation.
And I've been in it. It's one of those shows I've been in, and
they only have a couple of the songs from the movie, and then they have these new songs which were all terrible. And
the story is terrible. Let's go kidnap some women and force them to marry us. Oh my gosh.
It's very broad, and you have to accept it on a very silly level. Like, you cannot take it seriously.
And again, I agree with you. I love Hope Box. I love their mission. I think they do great things, but this is definitely a C, even maybe a C- for me.
It's just, there's nothing interesting or that excites me. So yeah, I agree.
We'd like to take a second and thank our sponsor for this episode of the podcast. It's the Hallmarkies merch store.
Are you looking for that perfect gift for the postable, Hardy, or Hallmarky in your life?
What about getting that t-shirt or hoodie that will help you stand out at your next holiday party?
Now is the time to check out the Hallmarkies merch store.
Full of festive designs by artists like Jessica Miller, Carrie from Hallmark Comics, and more.
You can even have more than just shirts, but totes, cell phone cases, notebooks, mugs, and more.
And it isn't just Hallmark. We have designs for Anna Green Gables, Man from Snowy River, The Nanny, and more.
Every purchase at the merch store goes to help support the podcast and allows us to make the great content you know and love.
There are frequent sales, so go to tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies or see the link in the description.
That's tpublic.com/stores/hallmarkies.
Okay. Then we have Centerpoint, and they have Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder, Seussical.
Again, Seussical.
I know. Kiss Me Kate, School of Rock, Into the Woods, and A Christmas Carol. And I have to say, I'm pretty underwhelmed. The only one of these that interests me is Kiss Me Kate, because I feel like that one's not done that much, but everything else is done a lot.
So I'll tell you, I went up and down with all of this because I don't feel like School of Rock has done a lot, and I really wish it was, because School of Rock is fantastic, and the kids play their instruments.
I guess that's true. It's not done that
stage.
much. That's true.
I've only seen it done at TuaCon.
And Hale did it last
And
year.
Hale, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I'm way excited because I know this is up in my neck of the woods, my neighborhood, and I know the kid talent. So I'm so excited that the kids around here get to show off their talent.
That's
and
true.
I know the kids that play the instruments. I know the kids who are going to be auditioning. And so
it'd be in the summer, so the kids will be off school. They'll be able to do it.
And that's why they chose the summer.
Yeah.
I'm so excited that they are doing this. And because Centerpoint, one of my things I've always said that I wished that would bring Centerpoint from here to here would be if they would do live music. And you cannot do School of Rock without live music. So I am thrilled for this.
And I do have season tickets because you see $94. They're very reasonable for the quality of the production. That is a great deal.
School of Rock is like one of the main reasons why I'm excited. The other reason why I like this season is I know for sure are doing the good Christmas Carol.
Oh, okay.
It's the one that's written by the same people who wrote Ragtime. And it's hardly ever done. It is the good Christmas Carol. So that right there. I do like Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder. So I feel like it kind of goes up and down for me. It's like Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder is so cool. I kind of am up and down with Kiss Me Kate, but I am with you that it's hardly ever done. So at least that's really cool. I love School of Rock. I like Into the Woods. I like what Centerpoint does. So I have some high hopes for it. But I do think, like I said, it's being done with like 5 different seasons. I mean, 5 different shows that are
at least.
What the heck?
Yeah.
So I would give this one an A- or a B+.
Oh, really?
But
I'd give it like a C+. It's not that exciting for me, but I have tickets, so I'll be there. Okay, then
the School of Rock makes me happy.
Yeah. Okay, I can see that. So TuaCon, they have Frozen, and then Anastasia, Jersey Boys, Ring of Fire, and A Christmas Carol. And so I think that, I mean, I've never actually been to TuaCon, but this is interesting. I don't love this Anastasia. I
don't like that Anastasia version either.
They made it really boring, I think. They took it way too seriously. I don't love it.
Yeah.
I do actually like the Frozen.
I love Frozen, and I've been to TuaCon lots. My husband's sister lives down there. And I am fascinated to see what they're going to do with it, because TuaCon knows how to do spectacle.
Yeah.
They absolutely do. And also, I'm pretty positive. I have no idea. I have no inside information on this, but I swear Disney must give them money, because anytime they do a Disney show, it goes all out. Like their Beauty and the Beast was one of the coolest Beauty and the Beasts I've ever seen. And it was like they had to have money from Disney. It was so good.
And what's nice too is that they have these long runs for all of these.
Do.
So you can plan your trip.
And they're Jersey Boys. They've done Jersey Boys down there before. And I don't necessarily love Jersey Boys, but my bet, I'd put money on the fact that they're probably getting the same cast as they had before. And it's worth it for that cast. Because they're that good. Like they sound, it's like you could close your eyes and think that you have Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons there.
I've never seen Jersey Boys, so I hope I can get down there. And then
this Ring of Fire is the same
Johnny
situation. Cash. There's a guy that played Johnny Cash in $1 Million Quartet when they did it down there, who lives in Vegas, and it's like he is Johnny Cash. And my money is on them get him back. Because I would. And if they do, then it's worth it to see that alone, because this dude is Johnny Cash. Like, he's so good, and he's played this role in $1 Million Quartet all over the country because he's that good. And so, like, when I saw them announce this, I was like, yeah, I bet they got him back.
So I would actually, I think, give this an A. Like I'm intrigued to go,
Yeah.
even though I don't love Anastasia.
Yeah, and I don't love Anastasia either, but again, like Tuacahn, they just do cool things. One of the coolest things I ever saw at Tuacahn is when they did Prince of Egypt, because they flooded the stage. They
Oh my
flooded the
gosh.
stage.
That's
It's
so
just
cool.
so cool. So
All
yeah.
right. So we have West Valley Performing Arts. They're doing Sleepy Hollow, the musical, A Tale of Two Cities. That's a musical. Shakespeare in Love. It's a play. The Lightning Thief. I think that's a musical. Legally Blonde and Jekyll and Hyde.
Lightning Thief is a musical. It's based on the Percy Jackson books.
I feel like this is pretty good.
I would give it an A-
lineup.
only because I feel like I've seen A Tale of Two Cities. I saw it when Centerpoint did it, and I hate it.
Oh, is it bad?
It's like literally the person who wrote it. I feel like they plagiarized Les Mis so much. I cannot remember what the end of the first act. I can't remember what the song is, but it literally was like, why did you not just call it One Day More? But just and so I understand that it's got a following.
Yeah.
Some people like it, but I just don't. And so it is like the weak link. I'm interested in pretty much everything else there. Like I've said, I have some issues with Jekyll and Hyde, but if anyone will do it well, it's gonna be West Valley. I love West Valley. I don't know anything about Shakespeare in Love, the play, but I bet it's fantastic. Sleepy Hollow, the musical, that sounds so cool.
Yeah,
like,
I'm excited to see that. I do have season tickets to them, and Shakespeare in Love. I actually got to see that at a read through at BYU. They did a, what do they call it, a read along thing. So I haven't actually seen it, but I've seen the read through. And I love Legally Blonde. That's a favorite. So
yeah, I love Legally Blonde too. I think it's fantastic. So
and I would love if they were a little bit ambitious with their casting, which they can be at West Valley. In OPA, they had body positivity casting. They had a plus size Elle Woods, and it was absolutely amazing. And I mean, it's Caitlin Olsen. She's super talented. But I just thought it was so neat, to see somebody different in that role.
In London, they've had a plus sized African woman playing Elle.
That's cool.
Yeah, so cool.
And at Heritage, we have A Gentleman's Guide for Love and Murder. She Loves Me.
I'm going to see that next week.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Snoopy, My Fair Lady, Pirates and Penzance, your favorite, Peter and the Starcatcher, SpongeBob, Anastasia, Clue, the musical.
Right.
And
which again, there's two versions, so it depends. I wonder which one.
Oh, there's two versions of the musical?
Yeah, there are two versions of the musical.
The most exciting for me is I love She Loves Me. So I'm definitely going to.
She Loves Me. But my daughter's name is Amalia. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to trek up there to see it because I'll see anybody who does it. I love She Loves Me. So that's my most excited. But I feel like it's a pretty good lineup.
Yeah.
It's got some classics.
What I'm most excited about
stuff. It's got some family stuff. It's got.
Yeah. What I'm most excited about is Nutcrackers, because I've been in Nonsense. I played Mother Superior, but I've never seen any of the others. Yeah. Like no one ever does anything more than just Nonsense. When they announced Nutcrackers, I was like, "Are you kidding me?" I actually texted my lady who played my little second nun with me and was like, did you see this? They're doing Nutcrackers.
Yeah.
And she started joking that we should audition, but I don't do shows very often anymore. But that's just so exciting that they actually are doing Nutcrackers.
It's nice when people shake it up for Christmas.
Yeah. So I'm excited for She Loves Me. I'm excited for Snoopy because people do You're a Good Man, Charlie Brown, but they hardly ever do Snoopy. I think that this is a pretty good one, even though they have Pirates of Penzance. But it's so silly, but I'm totally excited for Nutcrackers.
Yeah. So I even though I don't love Anastasia, I'm a little bored with Clue. Pirates is not my favorite either. But I think it's a really smart season. I think it's a well-crafted season. So I'm gonna give it a B+, but I think it's good. Hopefully they'll
agree with you.
be
I think
successful.
B+ is a good one.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, Pioneer Theater. We have Murder on the Orient Express.
which I just went and saw.
Yeah. Rocky Horror Show, which I'm going to see. I'm
Yeah,
so excited.
Yeah, this is where I have season tickets. So
yeah. Christmas in Connecticut, which I'm really excited because my friend Tim Leninger, who reviews, he's a member of ACCA. He reviews shows in Connecticut. They did this last year, and he reviewed it and had a good review. And so I'm really excited to see it because I love the movie. It's one of my favorites, and so that'll be fun. Native Gardens, I don't know that. Utah premiere. Bonnie and Clyde, I've never seen that, so I'm excited to see it.
I've seen it once. It's very rarely done, so yeah, it is. I actually really enjoy it. So
yeah, and then the Lehman trilogy, which I have heard of, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's was on Broadway just a few years ago. So
yeah, and then Natasha Pierre and the Great Comet, which everybody's super hyped for.
Yeah, well, so my husband and I, we have season tickets to Pioneer and to Eccles, and we're more excited for Pioneer than Eccles.
Yeah,
and I saw Natasha Pierre and the Great Comet of 1812 on Broadway, and I felt when I saw it on Broadway that there's no way that anyone else can ever do this because of how they changed the theater and how they just, it's an experience that you just can't have anywhere else. And then when they announced that they were going to do it at Pioneer, and I was in the theater and they announced it, and I thought, no, you can't do this. And then they explained that the Lehman trilogy, the one they're doing before, they're doing a new theater that they're building on campus, and that they are going to redo. They're going to take out all the seats in Pioneer and redo the stage and everything to make Natasha Pierre and the Great Comet of 1812 like how it's supposed to be, which is there are different stages throughout the whole audience. And so then I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give you a chance. And so I am very excited about it. But like I sat in the Imperial Theater on the very back row. I got like just a ticket, a cheap ticket on the very back row, and I felt like that was the one time where sitting in the very back of the audience was the best seat in the house, because there were literally little stages all over the Imperial Theater, and I could see everything that was happening because it happens throughout the whole theater. And I thought, there's no way you could have this experience if you did it in any kind of traditional theater. So the fact that Pioneer says they're going to try and recreate that makes me excited for this show.
It's going to be very interesting. And like I said, I'm really looking forward to Christmas in Connecticut, Bonnie and Clyde. And so once I can save up, maybe I may actually get tickets. They were kind enough to comp me for Rocky Horror, but so that's super nice. But yeah, I'm gonna give this an A. I think it's
this one's an A for me for sure. It's the one I'm most excited for. So
yeah. So then we have Terrace Plaza. They have Big Fish, and then Scrooge Christmas Carol. So that's the Albert Finney one. You know, the thank you very much. The Odd Couple, The Complete Works of William Shakespeare, Abridged, Fiddler on the Roof, and The Little Mermaid, and Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. And I guess the thing that surprises me about this lineup, because this is like a very family friendly theater. They that's part of their marketing. That's part of their branding.
They are 100% family friendly. Yeah.
I think it's kind of a weird lineup for like super family friendly theater. I mean, Odd Couple, that doesn't strike me as a super, like, our little kids are going to want to see that. The Complete Works of William Shakespeare, like, that's a little bit saucy, and like
that one is the one that surprised me the most for them. Like, that's so out of characteristic for what Terrace usually does.
Yeah. And then Dirty Rotten Scoundrels, that's a little bit of a saucier show, I think. I've never seen it.
Yeah.
And I don't know Big Fish, if that's how.
No, it's not my favorite show, Big Fish.
I mean, is it something kids are going to want to see though?
Yeah, no, kids see it.
Okay.
Kids see it. It's
I don't know. That's just what surprised me. Obviously, Little Mermaid is very but everything else, even Fiddler, I feel like is a little bit of a tough sell with little kids.
The thing about Fiddler in Utah, I don't know. Yeah. I don't know if I should tell this story, but I'm going to.
Okay.
I was on a community arts council once, and they were trying to some people on the council, and I agree, I was in agreement with these people, were trying to sell the idea of doing ragtime one summer. And one of the main concerns was, could we get the right amount of talent? And that was a fair concern. But then someone else brought up that the heavy material, and could you sell the audience for the heavy material? And yeah, that's fair. Ragtime is heavy material. And so they kept fighting against it. And then someone else brought up, well, let's do something more family friendly and that would sell more tickets. Let's do Fiddler.
It's funny. I mean,
Because
I would have no problem
Jews out of
taking
their homes and all of that is not heavy material.
Like I would have no problem taking my family to see Fiddler on the Roof, of course. But
No,
I'm
me
just
either, but
it's just all together as a combo. This seems like a strange
for sure.
For terrorists.
For sure. But I just think that a lot of times people here don't really think before they just are like, Fiddler on the Roof, tradition, let's go see the show.
Well, I mean, it's the same thing with Sound of Music.
Right, yeah.
Let's go see the
show. It's amazing. It's wonderful. And it's like, no, it's still pretty heavy, friends.
Yeah. I forgot to say, I would give that like a C. I don't think it's a great.
No.
Okay. Draper Historic. We're almost done. So they have Christmas Story, Annie, Legally Blonde, Sweeney Todd, Newsies, and Matilda. I think it's a little bit of a boring season. It's a little safe, but I'm pretty excited.
See, it's all shows that I really like.
Yeah.
Except Annie Jr. But I mean,
Anastasia too.
It's fun. The thing is like there was a while there where I was like, if I have to watch one more production of Newsies, then my 14-year-old self would smack me for saying that, because when Newsies came out when I was 14, I watched it 18 times. I loved it so much. Like, but just everyone was doing it. And I absolutely adore Matilda, but everyone was doing it.
Yeah.
Like
all of these, it does feel like a very safe. Like, I'm surprised they're not doing Into the Woods.
Right. But they're balancing out with Legally Blonde and Sweeney Todd. So I mean, it's cool. I mean, you've got to sell seats.
Yeah, and I think this will do very well for them. This is a very marketable. And
very, very marketable. And I mean, there's a reason why Newsies sells. It's a great show. There's a reason why Matilda sells. It's a great show. So yeah, actually, I think that this is the only one that I'd look at and be like, maybe I can skip it, would be either the Annie Jr. or the Christmas Story. Like, and Anastasia I don't necessarily love, but
Anastasia would be the one. And Matilda, I just think it's too long. It's too long. They should get rid of the escapologist plot. It makes it drag.
I love Matilda. I don't think it's too long. I love Matilda, but
I think you can get rid of that entire escapologist plot. I don't think you need it. I think it bogs it down. You don't need it for the characters anyway. But
I love it.
but yeah, I would give this one a B+. I think it is pretty strong.
I actually agree with you there. It's about a B+
tickets. Okay, I think that's it. I think that's the last one. All right, let me
like, again, so much that we can see out here. Like, just
it's
so much theater. It's fantastic.
Yeah. So let us know what you think of these different seasons, which one you would want to get season tickets to. We would love, or are getting season tickets to. We'd love to hear that in the comment section or on Twitter. And where can people follow you and read your reviews and other things?
Utah Theater Bloggers is where my reviews are. I'm on TikTok as Doc Broadway, and just Facebook and Instagram, Maren Swenson.
Great. And you can find me at Rachel's Reviews all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes, and at rachelsreviewstheater.com. And I have a New York trip coming up, which I'm so excited about.
Well, when are you going?
I'm going actually on Saturday. I'm leaving on Saturday because I'm going for the New York Film Festival, and I'm going to see 5 shows when I'm out there. So
let me know what you see. We'll have to talk about it, because I'm going in November and I haven't even decided yet what I'm seeing. So
yeah, I'm so excited. I found this hostel in like this pretty close to Lincoln Center, where's the festival, and I'm just so hopeful that it would be a great experience, because it is a great price. And anyway, so I'm really hopeful about the trip. But anyway,
cool.
got that coming up. So make sure you're following all over me over there. And if you are listening on iTunes, please leave your ratings and reviews. That really helps a lot. And if you are watching YouTube, please give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We appreciate that so much. I have a playlist of all the Theater Tuesday episodes, so you can check that out. And thanks so much, everybody. We'll talk to y'all later. Bye.
All right.